So a new generation of Pokemon comes out, and what does Game Freak bring to the table? Nothing much other than making Pokemon go Super Saiyan. So Mega Evolution is what really kickstarted the whole generational gimmick Pokemon's been doing as of late. And today I'm going to go through every single one, determining whether it was good and necessary or utterly useless and terrible. Also, one last thing to mention before we really get into this is that these are all my rankings, so if yours are different, then definitely let me know down in the comments below. Anyways, let's get started. When I look at Garchomp, I see a complete and amazing Pokemon. There is pretty much no reason for any of this. In comparison to regular Garchomp, Mega Garchomp isn't that great on all fields. Its drop in speed means that what Garchomp did so well became pretty much invalid and to a degree made the other buff stats pretty much irrelevant. And design-wise, it just looks all wonky. I mean, look at regular Garchomp. That's a nice balance on the front and the back, plus those fierce arms with the fins coming out. It's just peak Pokemon perfection. And then you get a look at Mega Garchomp and it just gets all wonky with the smaller lame arms, with the massive size trying to come off as some next-gen Scyther or something. Plus the weird jawline attempting to recreate the Crimson Chin is also just a major blow to the happy Thanos-approved balance of the original. Ultimately, this was a Mega that wasn't too necessary, and frankly, I would be content if Mega Garchomp had not existed. I'm putting these two together because they're so similar. It's redundant to make them separate, which is why they're low on the list. It's nice that these two got Megas and all, but I have a feeling that these two got them because of the flying feature in ORAS, and nothing else. Like every other Pokemon, there's potential to really improve some of them with Megas, but with the Lati twins, they just took the easy way out and just made them the exact same. It's not that their design is bad, it's just that they're the exact same thing for both, and probably only exist for one feature in the game, and that was it. No love, no compassion whatsoever. So of all the Gen 5 Pokemon, the one they picked was Audino. I mean, I like Audino and all, but Audino, not Conkeldurr or Klinklang or Scolipede. Okay, Game Freak. In all fairness, I like the design, really making Audino become the fairy he was destined to be, but if I had to be real to myself, and I think I speak for most people here, if there was one Mega Pokemon you'd want for your team, would it really be Mega Audino? Especially compared to some of the other cream of the crop Megas that are out there, and Audino just doesn't really hold up, at least to me, and probably to a lot of others. Heracross is a Pokemon dear to me, but there's something that's just really off when it comes to its Mega. Like, what happened? Man, how did your horn go from your nose to your head? Heracross was definitely a Pokemon to deserve a Mega, but the design could have been a little bit better, because right now it just looks like some armored imposter Heracross trying to look tough with its obviously fake muscles looking like the floaties you wear out to a day on the beach. And on the topic of mid-designs, we have Kangaskhan. I mean, obviously this thing was an outright serial killer back in Gen 6, with its completely ridiculous power and ability, but simply looking at it, and nothing has changed except for little Joey finally coming out ready to make some enemies. This would probably be lower had it not been the bulldozer that it was, but ultimately the pretty unchanged design just makes it still towards the bottom compared to some of the others. This one has to be some kind of joke, right? I mean, I can only imagine the Game Freak design team being like, hey, what if we made a Mega Slowbro, but we just made the whole body the shell? And then the reaction is like, sir, you're brilliant. I mean, that's the only logical thing that I can think of, because the idea is great, but the execution is just not. I mean, when you take it not so seriously, then it's funny because, oh, look at these amazing other Megas, and then we have the dumb derpy one. If that's what Slowbro's role is, then it succeeds, but other than that, it just seems like a missed opportunity. Also, they really did just give Slowking the boot from going Mega as well. Like, come on, every other split evolution got Megas, like Gardevoir and Gallade, Glalie and Frostlass. Okay, maybe not that last one, but you get the idea. It's just a meme design and nothing else really. Now, this is just something taken to the extreme. Aggron is looking obviously metallic as a steel type does, but when it comes to its Mega, it just becomes a living wall. Like, this thing is so big and immovable that it doesn't look like it can move itself, almost to the point of literally just being a living wall. Normal Aggron just does a great job of being a strong and robust fighter, but at the same time keeping its personality and still remaining like a Pokemon that you can love and care for at the end of the day. But its Mega just becomes so drained of a personality that I just feel like the Mega isn't all that great. So this just kind of happened out of nowhere. I must have missed a part in the movie because I don't remember the part where Mewtwo decided to become a martial artist. I mean, it's a neat concept and all, but it's just so left field and the design doesn't really look the part. It looks like it took some notes from Greninja when it became a fighter, especially with that frog-like anatomy on that design. Now, probably there's a bias because I was a Y player more than an X player, but frankly, I'm just not too attached. I'll admit it's a neat idea, but frankly, I prefer the more rigid brain Mewtwo rather than its smooth brain decision to become a fighter. So out of all the Gen 6 Pokemon, the gen that created Megas, Diancie is the only one that gets one? I mean, this is like Autono, but I guess it's kind of fine because this was the new gen and all, and the new Pokemon should be the attention instead of solely the Megas, yada yada yada. Anyway, back to Diancie. Overall, a pretty solid design, really looking like the queen of pink diamonds, really adding to Diancie a lot. I mean, you really can't get too attached when they were just handing them out like hotcakes at the beginning of ORAS, but still not a bad Mega by any means. So honestly, Lopunny was pretty mid as it was, but with its Mega came the sweet kiss of the OU tier and immediately became something strong. A big boost in its sweeping abilities, plus Scrappy really shot this Playboy Bunny from obsolete to absolute bulldozer status. Plus its design really demonstrates this by looking like something straight off the P90X grind, ready to destroy anything that thinks it can take this powerhouse of a bunny. Ultimately, Mega Aerodactyl doesn't really add anything major to regular Aerodactyl. Like, I think Aerodactyl just flew through some rocks and Professor Oak was just like, oh, that's a new Mega. But even though the changes are minimal, I think there's something to this simplicity that really complements how regular Aerodactyl was already pretty good as is. A little really can go a long way. Ah, the Spoon Man himself. Truly the peak of Pokemon design right here. It was amusing that when Kadabra evolves, it gains another spoon, but this is just taking it to the next level. Obviously, this would have happened, but ultimately its design really just sets in its rigid brain persona. The fact that it's above using its legs shows the superiority of this legend and why it's a pretty great Mega when all said and done. So, unlike its Spike counterpart, Pinsir was a Mega done right. A Pokemon well deserving of a Mega, definitely, and it was done so well. Pinsir always had the fierce bug persona, but you take one look at its Mega and this thing will be charging at you ready to attack while it's flying at Mach 10. It's like it's rising from the PU down in the PU tier and charging at you ready for that sweet, sweet revenge. The supremely fierce look and powerful strength of this Mega just really do it for me, and it makes it infinitely better than its counterpart, who's nothing more than a small obstacle in this bulldozer's way. Now, when you think winter, this is not at all what you're expecting, but it's that and so much more. Mega Abomasnow is what Abomasnow should have been, an intimidating snow monster that could pop out at any minute in the midst of a snowstorm. Just all the layers and the fierce look really emphasize this persona, and the ice spikes coming out the back are just icicles on the cake. And yeah, even though it's not great in battle, that doesn't really matter, because the design is just what really does it for me. So it kind of hurts to put these two back to back because I really do love ice types, but there are just better Megas out there. Anyways, going back to Glalie. Glalie is a Pokemon that definitely deserved a Mega, and what we got was really good. Breaking the ice with Glalie's jaw like Titanic's iceberg just really catapulted this design from being pretty good to absolute top tier. You see this thing floating towards you like the Majora's Mask moon, and you know you're in trouble. If only Frostlass got the same love, cause wow, they did a good job with Mega Glalie. You know, it does hurt to put Venusaur so low, but if I must be honest with myself, Mega Venusaur is just kind of lacking in the pizzazz department. Like, you look at other starters and you see what they did, and then you look at Venusaur and how it got the short end of the stick. Making the flower bigger makes sense, but to that being the only real thing is just pretty overwhelming, because this is one of the OGs, the iconic classics, and they did them like this. It's just disappointing, and I wish there was more for the legend that is Venusaur. So when you take a majestic beauty and just make it better, what do you get? Well, obviously Mega Altaria, because this thing looks like an angel straight from heaven, here to bless you with its presence alone. The soft clouds and majestic fairy bird within is just a really enchanting sight to see, but also keeps the dragon persona and equally dishes out strong Draco meteors to anyone that doesn't bow down to its elegant presence. So if I'm gonna be honest, Manectric is just like a basic Mega. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, it just looks good and not much else. Maybe it's the massive Zeus-sized lightning bolt going down its body, but it's just a good design that also manages to be basic in a way. Good Pokemon, just not much to say, and overall mid-tier. So there's definitely a bias here. Like I said before, I'm a Y player, but in addition to that, seeing this Mega in the Genesect movie was also something really special, as it was the first Mega in the anime. Finally being able to use it once X and Y was released was something really big, but being ejected for a moment, and Mega Mewtwo is overall pretty good, but doesn't really fare well against some of the other Megas. I mean, it's a simple Mega, which is good, but other Megas just have things that Mewtwo doesn't, leaving it in just the average tier. Ho ho ho, watching this camel go from a little science fair volcano to full Pompeii just makes this Mega absolutely amazing. Of course, being Maxie's signature, Camerupt was bound to be good, but it was just done beyond the basic amount. The hothead energy radiating from this abomination of a volcano camel is just unrivaled and prevents anything from stopping this explosive pocket monster from utterly incinerating anything and everything. So Tyranitar is like Garchomp, where its Mega wasn't really the most necessary, but at least when they did make it exist, it was good. Mega Tyranitar just takes the original Godzilla concept and just expands on it even more, making this even more ferocious creature ready to stomp on you at any moment. But even though it was a good design, it's still kinda not necessary, as regular Tyranitar was just as good as Mega Tyranitar, and seeing how this could have allowed for other more deserving Pokemon of Mega just keeps it from being anything higher. So we saw Mega Mewtwo X and how Brains and Brawn can be combined, albeit not the greatest. But then here comes Mega Medicham, ready to destroy anyone with both its rigid brain and physical attacks. Just the elder-like energy radiating from this superior pocket monster makes this an amazing fighter without even having to bat an eyelash at its smooth brain opponents it faces. And the weird floating psychic scarves around it are just the icing on the cake for this great design that really proves what Medicham is all about, more so than the original design. Like Camerupt, the signature to Team Aqua obviously has to be good, but compared to Camerupt, Sharpedo does it all and more. The more savage and rugged design of Mega Sharpedo really adds to how this is a half shark, and despite this, it'll still hunt and chase you down like the second coming of Jaws. I mean, this shark went from being pretty terrifying to outright horrific, because anyone that says they wouldn't be afraid of a Mega Sharpedo in the real world is just simply lying to you, and no one can deny the pure ferocity from this insane Pokemon. Mawile is a simple creature. The only jarring thing is the whole mouth on its back, but why have one when you can have two? The terror instilled by Mawile is quite literally doubled upon Mega Evolution, striking fear into everyone, including the oh-so-powerful dragons. The huge power of this Mega is enough to scare anyone thinking they're good enough to fight amongst the gods of Ubers. Being based on something so terrifying and having it be unimpressive was utterly disgraceful, but once it got the Mega love, things only went up for this powerhouse that deserved everything it got and more. What a majestic being Absol is. You take something that was sleek and beautiful already and just make it 10 times better. The wings added on just make this soar to greater heights, absolutely slashing through everything with its even greater personal headblade. And I can get behind this because Absol was honestly a bit lacking in just about everything, but this Mega really carried it, making a welcome addition to the Mega lineup. So I'm just gonna be totally honest and say that Lucario is a great Pokemon, as is its Mega, but just for whatever reason, I can't really get behind it all that much. Like, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing design, but I can't ever look at Mega Lucario and think that it'll ever be anywhere near the top of the food chain. It might be because one is just given to you for free, ruining the speciality of Megas as a whole since you don't have to go out and get the stone, plus it's given away as Lucario, so the bond you need for it to evolve in the first place from Riolu is also just taken away as well. Overall, I think it's great, and always will be, but I look at this and see nothing resembling the coveted S tier. Ah, the absolute Mega Shrimp himself. What happens when you take something that's already renowned for being good and just make it better? Well, Rayquaza, but Gyarados is a close second. Both are equally pretty good, although losing its flying type is both a positive and a negative. Other than this mixed bag on whether the Mega or the original is better, Mega Gyarados absolutely takes the cake. Like I mentioned before, it's the shrimp out for revenge for the scumbag that sold him off like garbage. The fierce, beastly persona is ever present on its Mega and keeps Gyarados' reign on the seas of Pokemon. Now, this is no ordinary Windows 10 processor, no. This is a Transformers level AI out for blood and ready to wreak havoc on any little thing that dares stand up against it. Mega Metagross grows its ever so rigid brain, making it even more of a menace. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, I thought Pokemon that don't deserve Megas are dumb and low. And to that, I say, you're kinda right. Frankly, this is just kinda how I see it, plus if the design is good, like Metagross, then all else is kind of irrelevant if I'm being honest. It's a weird logic, but it's also my list, so whatever. Anyway, Metagross is cool, pretty above average tier. So I'm gonna be frank, I'm at the point to where the next ones are just barely beating out the others. I mean, I love all of these, but it was just really hard determining which ones are better than others. But anyway, back to Blaziken. This is what a solid Mega looks like. Nothing too overdone, but what is done really turns something already pretty top tier to even greater heights. Adding the fire on the sides really adds pep to the design and making sure you're not just fighting any chicken, but the spiciest of KFC sandwiches. The face design adds a mask feel to it and was really emphasized in the anime. Great Mega, but compared to the rest, they just barely edge out. If you take one look at this Mega, every square inch, every millimeter just oozes the feel of, I was made to be cool and awesome. Like every card at Game Freak was used to make this the most profitable, likable, perfect design for a Mega because it's Charizard. And in addition to getting two, one of them had to be the superior perfect one. Now with all that being said, And looking at it objectively, it is a good design, but my issue with it is it was designed like that. Everything about it just appeals to be something pleasing to the eye, which is true, but because of this, I can't really like it as much. Call it being on the anti-Charizard bandwagon, but personally, I can't just really like it as much as others might, especially compared to the rest of the Megas. Just take one look at this guy and tell me what's not to love. Yeah, sure, all the Mega does is just give it a shield, but come on, Sableye is such a good Pokemon on its own. Its cheeky prankster-like nature is only emphasized by its ability. Then going Mega and its personality just gets better. This man would just be making America's funniest home videos on you, then escape confrontation behind its massive shield, all with its eerie yet charming smile. Maybe I have some kind of bias towards ghost types, especially ones that have this cheeky persona, but Sableye is just an amazing Pokemon as it is, and its Mega just makes it all the better. Yep, I'm just one of the weird ones that likes Charizard Y over Charizard X. What can I say? Not only does its Y form not ooze the please love me, I'm cool energy that X form does, but it genuinely just does look better. For one, it feels more like a natural progression since, like every other Mega, Charizard Y keeps the iconic Charizard colors of its original design, but with some added little elements around here. To put simply, the design just becomes more rugged, like the wings become all tattered, it just becomes bigger, to be frank, like a bigger tail, bigger wings, and the rough spikes and its wings just really go along with this rough design, and I really like it a lot. Plus, this man comes out with a spotlight on him from the start, putting up a bright sun wherever it goes. This is the form that rises from Game Freak's trash bin after being cast out for being the less cool one in favor of Mega Char's X. But fear not, because you have fans, and one is definitely me. Just take one look at this thing and you're looking at the Queen of Death. This thing will launch you the full-powered Majora's Mask Moon on you with no regard for doing so. I mean, you see Diantha having one and you know you're in trouble. It's a pretty simple improvement over the base design, but like I've said a lot throughout this video, a little goes a long way, and this is very true for Gardevoir. It really came out of its shell as a little Ralt and became something straight out of Elise's catwalk, ready to crush some losers that dare oppose it and its glamour. And riding out the Kanto starters is Blastoise. What can I say, I'm part of the Squirtle squad, and given the option of a Pokemon with 2 Megas, the clear and obvious choice was the turtle off to the right. Making this thing get a full tank-sized cannon, spitting water at Mach 10, really shutting up Alolan Golem on what I wish it could be, just shows its incredible power. I mean, this will make Kyogre's water spout look like leaky tap water in comparison. And that's not even considering the 2 on its arms, fully tripling the firing capabilities of this turtle tank. Turtles may ride the currents, but this one is making the currents. Absolute top-tier pocket monster. My goodness, what were Game Freak thinking when this happened? Disregarding the sheer unrivaled power of this tier-creating behemoth of a Pokemon, Mega Rayquaza is just beyond top tier. How they took already something so good, as in cover legendary good, and made it better is beyond me. I mean, the man can go in space, no problem, so obviously something otherworldly is going on here. Mega Rayquaza is just simply unmatched in both raw power and as a Mega Legendary, making it by default top tier. I guess it's really hard for Game Freak to keep lizards from being dragons in Pokemon, but I do like this choice for Sceptile. If Sceptile wasn't already top tier as it is, then its Mega definitely makes it top tier without any doubt. I mean, it grew a torpedo tail of all things, so if there's any doubt in its place as a top tier Pokemon, then there will be casualties once it fires. And even if it does look like a Christmas tree, this is not your mom and pop's little small tree off in the corner cast off to the side like a piece of garbage. This is the full Whoville 100-footer Christmas tree. Sceptile will unleash its tail torpedoes while still coming at you extremely fast, about to hit you with its signature leaf blades. Absolutely amazing Pokemon, Sceptile. Surprisingly, there's been a lot of moon references, but I swear this is the last one. But Salamence is really flying up here, of course going at incredible speeds, but looking worse than the moon, but more like a blood moon, foreshadowing the demise of anything that dares to get in its way. You may think that at the end of the league, you're in the clear, but then comes the last Pokemon, and it's none other than Salamence that goes Mega, and then you know you're screwed. Salamence has always been top tier supremacy, and its Mega just takes it to the next level. I mean, obviously, it went to Ubers. Something that's usually below average for most is just really amazing to me. I mean, yeah, all it does is grow hair and miraculously becomes a dragon, but who cares? It's Ampharos, and it looks amazing. Hair like that is truly majestic and worthy of the highest praise. I really do have a really big bias and love for Ampharos, which probably explains why it's so high, but again, Ampharos is just top of the line, top tier, and truly deserving of a Mega, especially one that's as glamorous and beautiful as this. Now this is some cream of the crop Mega Starter design. Looks like the man's been taking some notes off the Machamp training course, cause wow, there was an improvement. I mean, it's so juiced that it could simply slap the ground and that single-handedly would be an earthquake. Not to mention being part water, this will be faster than any Michael Phelps swimmer out there without even needing to come up for air afterwards. Swampert is just hands down my favorite of the Hoenn starters, and it's because of this that it's without a doubt among the top 10 Megas. So first we have something that makes hydraulic presses look like clothespins, and then we have this. You get one look at simply the claws, and next thing you know, you're a goner. This just looks like something you'd want to only see from a telescope that's a good 100 miles away. The amount of ferocity that radiates from Mega Scizor is just really unfathomable, and should be beyond enough to scare anything within a 50-mile radius of it, probably just from the claws alone. You probably didn't think that the spawn of Satan himself would appear this high, but lo and behold it is. Everything about Houndoom is just so intimidating, from the fact that it's a fire type to it being a devil dog just really defines it as top tier. I just really prefer Pokemon like this, call it edgy or whatever, but there's not a single doubt in my mind that the spawn of Hades is cream of the crop top tier. Just like Houndoom, Mega Bayonet is something truly horrifying. Carrying over the hatred for being cast out and having that fuel for revenge just really makes Bayonet that much more terrifying. And I just love the fact that it's this zipper ghost with part of it emerging ready to attack and curse the one unfortunate enough to cast it out as a Bayonet. This creepy toned smile and overall personality is just really infatuates me with Mega Bayonet and easily makes this top tier. Hard to imagine the first wild Pokemon of the entire series being so high, but how could it not, with Mega Pidgeot being so majestic? The sheer amount of class and elegance of this bird completely overshadows everything below it, and it's well deserved as well. Pidgeot is definitely a Pokemon worthy of a Mega, and a really good one at that, as you won't see every Pokemon flying around with perfect accuracy hurricanes. Maybe I have some kind of bias towards Pokemon with good hair, but you see Mega Pidgeot enter the scene, and you better believe everything is moving off to the side to let this elegant bird fly through with the utmost grace and superiority. So where do I begin with Mega Steelix? First off, I love snakes. I mean, my favorite Pokemon is a snake, so of course I'll be biased towards snakes. However, the sheer amount of intimidation that radiates off Mega Steelix is just something unlike anything else. I mean, this is a massive, extremely heavy iron snake that will absolutely crush anything in its path. In addition to that, the crystals both emerging from it and floating around it just really add a sense of beauty and elegance to Steelix as a whole, something that's pretty weird saying, but I'm 100% fan of it. The signature Steelix glare is only made ever more fierce with the growth of its head and jaw, making for one of the most intimidating Pokemon of all time. Steelix is honestly just such an underrated Mega, and for me, without a doubt, it is one of the greatest. So like Banette, Gengar is extremely creepy and horrifying, easily making it top tier already, but there's more to it than that, which sets it apart. In addition to its iconic smile being extremely cynical, it's also a smile of joy. Gengar's personality is one of just being upbeat and joyous, as it just wants to have a good time and mess with people, purely for its own amusement. Gengar is truly an iconic Pokemon, and its Mega, albeit simple, really expands on Gengar, making it even more creepy and great looking than it already was. I mean, the man's got Shadow Tag, so you already know that once you see him, there's no escape, and it'll haunt you indefinitely, strictly for its own amusement. So Gardevoir was good. We had our fun with Gardevoir, but now it's time for the cream of the crop, Mega Gallade. If Gardevoir was the queen of death, then this is her knight in shining armor, and wow is it good. Everything about Gallade just oozes superiority and prestige, and that it'll destroy any opponent in a battle. And its weapon of choice aren't swords, but its own arms. This was already prevalent on regular Gallade, but with the blades truly popping out and becoming bigger, really exemplifying the absolute unit of a fighter that is Mega Gallade. Plus its arms gain small capes, which obviously just gives it even more class and really perfects the design. It's personally one of my favorite Pokemon, and to learn that it was getting a Mega after it initially didn't in X and Y was one of the most exciting things about ORAS, and I loved it ever since. If there was any Pokemon on this list more deserving of a Mega than this, then it's just simply wrong, because there is no Pokemon more deserving of a Mega than Beedrill. Beedrill has always been the scary type of Pokemon, seeing as it's a massive bee with ridiculous stingers, but when you're sitting back in the untiered part of the metagame, it's kind of hard to keep that persona, which is where Mega Beedrill comes into the picture. Mega Beedrill gifted Beedrill what it really needed to become truly successful and an extremely powerful unit on the battlefield. Especially with the physical upgrades, anything and everything anything better be running when there's a Mega Beedrill in the area. The stingers become even more massive, and the design as a whole just radiates intimidation, as no one in their right mind would ever try to go face to face with a bee that looks like this. I personally love Beedrill, more so than Butterfree if I'm being totally honest, and seeing how of all Pokemon, Beedrill was one of the ones chosen to receive a Mega made me thoroughly ecstatic, and I couldn't wait to own one myself. Because of all these things, there is not a single doubt in my mind that Mega Beedrill is an absolute cream of the crop Mega and the best Mega overall. And with that, we are done. Every single Mega Pokemon ranked. Overall, the concept is great, and I really wish they did more with the concept. Mega Flagon. But obviously, that's not going to happen. If you made it this far, then thanks so much for watching, and hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.